Hello everybody, welcome to the inaugural 2026 DBL Draft Lottery. First off, we want to thank all managers for making last season a very competitive and fun experience. We also want to give a shout out to Wemby's 4for4 for beating Wavy J in the 2026 DBL Finals and becoming the DBL's first inaugural champion. With all that being said, last year we faced a bit of lack of competitiveness. And hopefully today, we'll see some of these teams that lack competitiveness build their roster up in the draft lottery. Without further ado, let's begin the first draft lottery. The 12th pick in the 2026 DBL draft goes to Declona via Wemby 4for4. The 11th pick in the 2026 DBL draft goes to Wavy J. The 10th pick in the 2026 DBL draft goes to The Unction. Picking 9th in the 2026 DBL draft, JR Locks. Picking 8th in the DBL draft, JR Locks via the Shanghai sites. Picking 7th in the 2026 DBL draft, Nino Brown Boys. Picking 6th in the 2026 DBL draft, Harrow Ball. And finally, picking 5th in the 2026 DBL draft, the Bismarck Bums. Congratulations to the 4 teams that made it into the top 4. Harrow Ball, D-Claw, Shanghai Sights, and the Tank Commander. Without further ado, let's reveal the last 4 picks. Good luck. Picking 4th in the 2026 DBL draft, Tank Commander. Picking 3rd in the 2026 DBL draft, the Shanghai Sights via D-Claw. Picking 2nd in the 2026 DBL draft, JR Locks. And finally, with the first overall pick in the inaugural DBL draft, Harrow Ball via David Eklund. Congratulations to all managers and teams, and good luck in the upcoming DBL draft. Alright guys, this is Jordan once again, your commissioner of the DBL. Let's break down what just went down in the first inaugural DBL Draft Lottery. As expected, D-Fly won the inaugural season this year in the DBL Finals against Wavy J. So D-Fly's pick immediately conveys to number 12. And this pick was actually traded for by Mason in the Derek Lively trade. He ended up trading Evan Mobley to D-Fly for Derek Lively and 3 future first-round picks. One of those first-round picks being pick number 12 here. So Mason will acquire pick number 12. And then as expected, Wavy J, he ends up going number 11. That's what was expected in at least the statistics. But then things start waving away pretty quickly. Shanghai Size was actually expected to go number 10 here, and they eventually ended up falling all the way down to pick number 8, or I guess I should say jumping up in the lottery from 10 to 8. Instead, Max, the Unction, falls all the way down to 10, which is, just one spot. He was expected to go number 9, but still nonetheless not too great for him. He has a very old team, very injury-riddled team, so he's going to have to draft well or trade up for a pick to be really competitive going into next year. From that point on, like I said, Max was supposed to get 9, which is the unction. And then at pick number 8, that was supposed to be Galveston, which should have gone to D-Claw, to Mason. So a lot of things are happening here within picks 8 to 10. Eventually, this goes to JR. He falls down from expected pick number 7 to 9. And then he ends up getting pick number 8, which was expected to fall to 10. So instead of 7 and 10, he picks 8 and 9. Not the worst case scenario here for JR. And then for Nino Brown Boys, which is Chris Hamner, he is expected to get pick number 6. He drops down to pick number 7. Same thing for Jacob. He's expected to get pick number 3, and he drops all the way down to 6. Daniel, he falls all the way down to pick number 5. He was expected to pick number 2. And then Jake Divis, he falls from pick number 1 down to pick number 4. So Divis, Daniel, and Jacob, all bottom 3 teams in the league, end up falling the furthest possible draft here in the draft lottery. And then for the Shanghai Sites, which is my team, of course, I acquired this pick via Mason in the Evan Mobley trade. Traded him Evan Mobley for his pick this year and his pick next year. And this pick eventually ends up going pick number 3, which is just 1 spot ahead of what it was projected at number 4. So a lot of luck involved there. This pick could have fallen all the way back to pick number 7, in fact. And then a lot of confusion in this space right here. Pick number 2 ends up going to J.R. Locks. Now, as I mentioned before, rolling the last 4 teams, Mason was one of the teams that was expected to get a pick here. But this pick, number 2, has a story to it, and I'm going to explain it right now. During the draft night, Galveston traded 4 first-round picks for Cade Cunningham. And that was a trade involving the Shanghai Sites and the Galveston Grosswaters. Galveston acquiring Cade Cunningham and Shanghai acquiring 4 of Galveston's future first-round picks. Now, eventually, this pick via Galveston was traded to JR in the Giannis Antetokounmpo, Donovan Mitchell trade and Nikola Vucevic trade. And JR eventually ended up trading it back to Galveston. But when he did that, he put a top 2 protection on it. Eventually, Galveston ended up trading this pick over to D-Claw, Mason. And he did disclose to him during that trade that this had a top 2 protection to JR. So that protection did not go away. It still conveys. And eventually, it ends up falling here to pick number 2, which had a 3% chance of happening in the first place. So, very unlucky here for Mason. If this pick goes anywhere outside the top 2, it conveys to him. So just incredibly unlucky for him. And then finally, pick number 1 going to Jacob Harrow Ball. This is a trade that, if we're all being honest, was, unfortunate for the party that is not on the winning end of it, which is David. He ends up trading this pick for a future, I believe it was a 2030 first, 2 second-round picks, and a 3rd pick. There's a chance that those picks never even see the light of day, as D-Fly, one of the best teams in the league, has won the inaugural season and now only requires 1 more season win. So, a lot to unpack here overall. The 3 out of the 4 worst teams all fell back as far as they could. David Eklund, the 5th worst team in the league, he jumps all the way up to spot number 1, which is 4 spots forward. Galveston's pick drops all the way from 8 down to 2, which had a 3% chance of happening. Mason's pick drops from 4 to 3, conveying to Shanghai. And then overall, Chris goes up 1 spot in the lottery. Shanghai jumps a few spots in the lottery, conveying to JR. JR drops 1 spot in the lot, or 2 spots in the lottery actually, going to pick 9. The Unction jumps up 1 spot. Wavy stays where he's expected, and of course, pick number 12 stays at pick number 12 due to D-Fly winning the inaugural season over Wavy J in the DBL Finals. Ultimately, guys, I think there's a lot that we can take away from this draft lottery, but the main one being that at the end of the day, the balls can fall anywhere, and tanking is not a guaranteed position in order to guarantee yourself a top pick. At the end of the day, this is still a lottery, and there are systems in place so that, there's always a chance. I think one thing I want to say before we cap all this off is that a lot of people during the 2026 season or 2025 season said that picks are not as valuable as many people make them out to be. And Galveston, being one of the best teams in the league this year, actually ended up number 2. So, I think there's a lot to be said here, but at the end of the day, plenty has been shown, and people can see, where these balls end up lying and what it really ends up turning into. So going forward, I would say, and I would hope and I would ask that a lot of people just, take more value in their picks going forward. Guys, this has been Jordan Platts. Thank you so much for your play in the inaugural season of the DBL Draft. We will see you guys on draft night. Take care.